All right, everybody. Bob Cicherillo along with David Baye for another edition of The Last Rep. And actually, it's the last rep before David boards a plane to down under. You got the next 24 hours marked off for flight?
Yeah, it's I fly from Appleton to Chicago, Chicago to LA, then a lovely 16-hour flight from LA to Melbourne. Luckily, it flies out late at night, so I can sleep the first 8 hours and I don't know, maybe play Tetris on my phone or something for another 8 hours. I'll find something to keep myself busy.
You could be breaking a world record for Tetris playing, but I'm sure that's probably actually over 8 hours. But, David, as we sit here once again recording another edition, you're probably asking yourself, geez, Bob, what's that cool-looking shirt you got on there?
It looks like the reminds me of the game Trivial Pursuit. When
Close.
You get the thing, you got to, yeah.
But for those who are avid watchers of our show, you'll notice you got the newest edition of the Torque series of shirts. My good buddy Scott James used to be with BSN, has that line of clothes, Torque, T-O-R-Q-U-E. Shameless plug there, David, for anybody looking for some fine-looking apparel. So just wanted to kind of throw that out.
No shame there.
Absolutely. But we got a lot to go over here, bro. I just got back from the Phil Heath. What a great show. Hats off to Ed and Betty Pariso, along with Phil Heath, for putting that one on. It was moved to a two-day show this year in Dallas, and over 50 booths also there representing, and sold out, of course, thousands of people. Tell you what, the Texas bodybuilding community really has it going on over there.
Yeah, the Texas crowd, I mean, they love their bodybuilding. Obviously, it's a big state, so you have a ton of competitors. It's the big shows are all kind of within driving distance of each other, although it's a big state, so it's negotiable as far as travel and stuff for the competitors. So yeah, you get huge turnouts there every year, every show. It's crazy.
Well, Phil was in great shape. I'm sure you've seen some of the pictures and the video, of course.
Yeah. Wow. Phil's normally kind of soft, a little bit smaller off-season look. Not so much this time around. He looks big and he looks lean. We talked about that a little bit after the Arnold. Like Phil, maybe after 2014, he thought I should, kind of tighten things up. And then after 2015, two close ones in a row, he decided he was going to slam the door. Coleman did that, though. 2001 with Cutler, 2002 with Levrone and Gunter, two close years in a row, and then Coleman came back in 2003 and just kind of knocked everybody out. So I think that's what Phil's going to do.
Well, tell you what, he ain't messing around. He was big, and he looks good. Yes, probably the best off-season shape. He told me he was sitting at about 270, so probably the best condition I've seen him at 270. It's about normal for him off-season, but interestingly, he had some interesting comments, but we talked a little bit about Kai, whether he would actually make his long-awaited recent debut at the Olympia. He's not so sure he's going to. Actually, I think that Phil believes his biggest competition may come from not Kai Green, but Big Ramy.
Yeah, after the European shows last year, you have to think that Ramy's going to be right there in the first call-out. They'll probably move him next to Phil. I don't think we've actually seen, I'd have to go back and look at all the pictures from the Olympia. I don't think we've seen Ramy standing right next to Phil in any comparisons. So it's going to be interesting. Again, the big question mark for Ramy is whether he can bring really sharp conditioning. And even sharp conditioning for him, that's the thing. If you do stand him next to Phil and Phil's razor sharp and Ramy's a little bit off, those shortcomings are going to be exposed by Phil, especially in the back shots.
Well, he may be coming into his zone. Now, people tend to forget how long, or I should say, basically how short of a time Ramy's been training. So,
a couple years, yeah.
It's crazy, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him kind of really take a step forward this year and be a contender. Again, we have no guarantee on Kai. He is qualified, as we all know. But you will see him again in literally just a few days, as you'll be crossing the big pond over to the Australia Pro. Our friend Tony Doherty putting on the Arnold Classic over there in Australia. So this lineup, again, looking very close to a duplicate of the last Arnold we've seen, with a few new names in there.
Yeah, the men's open, maybe Samir and Neef. I don't have the competitor list in front of me, but essentially it's the same list minus a few guys. I don't think Tony Freeman's going to be there.
No Tony Freeman.
You're not going to see Cody Montgomery there. Lucas Weiler's not going to be there.
Now, Cody's on the list. Is he not going to be there?
Oh, maybe Cody. I'm sorry, not Cody. Johnny, I don't think is. I don't
No,
think
there's
Johnny's
no
gonna be
Johnny. Actually, he's going in
Yeah.
for a procedure, as you probably seen yourself. He got a little spot on his lung. They're going to kind of take a look at. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. We wish Johnny the best. Actually, I think he's going under the knife today, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll keep you up on that as he'll be a little bit out of touch.
But then the kid, I don't know how old he is. Stephen, maybe Olsen, his last name, is the guy who won his pro card at the New Zealand Nationals last week. Will be competing as well, and he looks pretty good. He looked a little short in the pictures, and I talked to Jose, and Jose's like, no, he's all of 5'9", probably about 250 or so, and very good shape, really good quads, and great shots from the back. So you can kind of expect your top two, I would imagine, to be Kai and Cedric again, but you really have to keep an eye out for Josh and Justin, and Justin as well. Justin's had 2 weeks to make some changes. It wasn't like he was really far out of shape or anything. I think he was a little watery and a little bloated. So an improved Justin could, I think Justin could leapfrog Josh and possibly even Cedric if he really made the last 2 weeks count.
Well, last I talked to him was at the Arnold Columbus. My advices, of course, which are never wrong, David, was to bring it down a notch or two. He's got plenty of size. He's got all that. Just needs to bring that conditioning. I don't think he's going to make the same mistake twice, so I think you're going to see a much improved, Justin. And Josh, I think, just has to maintain. He's going to be in his hometown. He's going to have the crowd on his side, of course. Cody Montgomery, not enough time to obviously make a lot of improvements. Not like he was in bad shape.
Right.
Just needs to fill out and, needs a few years in the trenches. But the new kid kind of intrigues me. I thought, looking at the pictures, I just automatically assumed he was like a 212 guy. Then it comes out.
That's what I thought. That's why I asked Jose.
Bro, that's like Phil's size. I mean, that's not a small guy.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know, maybe it's something about his structure or the way he flows or something. He almost just looks like a shorter guy. And when I was talking to Jose and he said he was doing the Arnold, I kind of raised my eyebrows and said, well, how big is this guy? And Jose, he said he's a taller guy. So,
bro,
he said,
listen, Jose is not exactly the best guy to be looking at for getting a height.
for who's tall.
He's looking up at everybody. So, I mean,
right.
By the way, I love Jose. He is a great character embodied. I mean, what you see is what you
won't
get.
find anybody. You won't find anybody better in this industry. I mean, all around, nice guy, personality, competitor. Jose's got it all. But there's some other divisions down in Australia too. There's a couple of repeats. We have figure down there again. We have fitness down there and bikini. Fitness, I can't see anybody beating Oksana. I mean, that's pretty much just a lot.
Falling off the stage, yeah. She's probably gonna win that one as she's in the show. So
yeah, and the thing is with Oksana is her routines aren't very heavily integrated with gymnastics. So those big slips that we've seen from some of the girls that really set them back, she doesn't really do a lot of that sort of stuff. So as far as her routines and setting herself up for a scenario where she has a big mistake, doesn't really look like a lot of that. Not that she couldn't put whatever in and still do it flawlessly, but I think you're going to see Oksana get another fitness title down there. Winnie Jones is there, so she'll probably lock down that second spot again as long as she performs her routine. And the other handful of girls, it's really just going to depend who brings it for their routines that day.
Well, definitely a loaded lineup, and once again, we give our best to Tony Doherty, one of the best guys in the sport. I really count Tony amongst my closest friends in this game, and now they're kind of coming into their own. This was fresh to him. I mean, he ran his own show for years, and then got the opportunity to basically replace it with the Arnold Expo and show. So he really bit off a lot, but I tell you what, he's really put it together, and he's going to have another great show.
Yeah, the thing that a lot of people don't know about Tony is this guy started off with nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean
literally
nothing. Built his Doherty 24/7 gyms, had one and then started expanding. And now he's got the biggest gyms down in Australia that are known worldwide. Then he starts promoting a show. I believe it's like the second or third longest running IFTV show that there is. He's been running it since the early 90s, very successful, and that's difficult bringing these guys down to Australia and stuff. And then he's just a cool guy. One of the things that really sticks out to me to Tony is when I started working this job, I was very, not like I'm whatever now, but very not known, kind of just, in over my head kind of feeling as far as going to these shows and being around. And, I went and I worked at Arnold, Australia just a few months after I started. And for being a complete nobody, Tony treated me with just the utmost respect. Rolls out the red carpet for the media that comes and covers it. So as far as people that I admire in the industry that are just good guys, the way I've been treated by Tony personally and professionally, he's on top of his work ethic and stuff like that. Tony's good by me, man.
Oh yeah. Well, you'll be having a good time there. Like I say, sorry I can't be there with you. Maybe next year, David, I'll take that big, long trip. But I'll actually be in Baltimore, Maryland. My friend Rich Siegelman putting that one on. The Baltimore, Maryland, the Gladiator Championships. So I'm right at home, of course. I don't wear my Gladiator outfit. Although I could still fit into it. So that's going to be a good show. I'll have a report on that when you get back, of course, next week. But speaking of shows, David, we'd be remiss if we didn't once again use that same saying and talk about the shows, obviously, of this last week. So apparently, not the only shows that were going on. Now, our good buddy Lee Thompson putting on a show down in Houston. And you and I had some predictions last week. I wanted to kind of revisit those just to see if we were close or how did we do?
I should get a pointy hat and grow out a beard. You can call me Nostradamus because that's how well we predicted Lee's show. Well, I shouldn't say that we predicted it. Basically, what we did is he made a million promises, and really all we said is he's not going to come through on his promises, and he didn't. So those were pretty easy predictions. Bright spots from the weekend for Lee, so I don't sound too one-sided. A beautiful venue, but it was completely empty. He didn't have two stages, but the stage he did have looked really good, but there was nobody on it to compete.
Right.
So he does do some good things. A nice venue, a nice stage. Those two things I think cap off the list of the good things. I can sum this up pretty good with one sentence.
I did watch his video yesterday. He likes to put out videos, as we know, new Periscope, and it wasn't very long, but it was very telling. But he had one quote in there that I couldn't get by, and that was that he wished congratulations to Alex Carnero. Now, Alex used to be an IFBB pro, now over there. Apparently, he won the men's physique, whatever he has in his pro physique.
Physique athletic.
He beat one other guy. That's all there was two. But Lee wished him the best, and he says, hey, for his efforts, he put, and I'm paraphrasing, saying a direct quote, but it's close. He put a $2,000 check in his hand, but got $50,000 worth of education and information.
Yeah,
what does that mean exactly?
Here's what that means. It means if Lee was having a hard time getting IFBB pros to jump ship before, now it's completely dead in the water. Whatever little chance he had, which obviously it was little, is now completely gone. He promised, and we went over this, there was supposed to be 80, I think it was 60 or 80, I believe it was $80,000 of prize money at this show. Not only was there not $80,000 of prize money, there was only one pro division. Now, mind you, he's been touting this as being the first NSL pro show for months and months and months, and he's just spouted off everything he could about how great it was. They had two pro competitors there. It was Alex and some other guy who they didn't even post stage shots. Now, I had a friend that was actually at the show. They live in Houston. They were going to go to the Phil Heath. They had a crazy day. So he's like, yeah, whatever, we'll go check out this NSL deal. So he was giving me updates all day. From what he said, it didn't seem like they even really announced that a pro division was coming on, or if they did, they kind of got it out, swept it off. But here's the problem with that. You have 8 divisions in the NSL as far as I'm aware. You have, from the women's side, you have Bikini Beach, Bikini Athletic, Figure, and Women's Physique. None of those had a pro show. So you have somebody like Sarah LeBlanc, who was probably promised the moon up and down 57 times, who now has to wait until, I believe, May to her first pro show, and they only turned a couple of girls pro in bikini, so they still don't have any pros. You didn't have a Bikini Beach. I don't know who he had. You didn't have a Figure. And by the way, for Figure, his poster child, Aaron Stern, who he's been touting as, the representative for the NSL, she wasn't even there. You have your pro debut and your pro qualifier. She was in Florida at a supplement shop. So you didn't have figure, you didn't have women's physique. On the men's side, you didn't have men's physique beach. You had 2 guys in men's physique athletic. There was no classic physique, and there was no men's bodybuilding. 8 pro divisions. He had 1 pro division that day, 2 competitors, and they've received the only press that's received at all on his Facebook and his social media is Alex posting this long post that looks like he just won a Grammy about how he can't believe it and it hasn't set in. It's like, dude, if I went and competed against one other person, and God knows what that person looked like, I wouldn't be bragging like
almost
just
rival than that. It was somebody sent me the post from the girl who won the women's physique, and now she's a pro over there.
Yeah.
Now she competed against nobody.
Nobody.
Apparently, you still get a pro card, but she put a post out that said, "I can't even believe this, and it hasn't really sunk in yet." And have we really gotten to a point where there's people that this is the duck pond? I mean, you got a participation medal, is what you got.
we have, and you know what, and I'm gonna go and be a little bit non-biased on this one too, because this happens in every single organization: NPC, IFBB, WNBF, ABCDE, NSL, whatever. You have so many people who they don't care about integrity. They don't care about competition. They don't care about being their best. Literally, the only bullshit they care about is having a pro card. They don't care where it comes from, what organization it's with, how they earned it. They want to be able to say, I'm a pro. And that unfortunately is the environment of the fitness competition community today. Is you get a lot of people who don't want to compete against the best. They want a little card that says they're a pro, and that's exactly what you got. It's like, we were talking before. It's like I've done shows where I've gone against good lineups, and I've gone against guys who looked like, they were playing on the JV squad. And frankly, it's embarrassing. For somebody who's a real competitor, it's embarrassing to win against nobody. And so for people to be bragging that they won their pro card, now granted, if she looked her best and really nailed it, you can't control who else shows up. So if you diet your ass off and you look really good and you win something, good for you. But don't brag about earning a pro card when it was literally just handed to you for showing up.
Well, here's the problem I got with the whole thing. You're talking about mismanagement right from the top, and we know who that's talking about. You don't put together now he was bragging about this before. Hey, you don't have to wait till the fall to go to your national championships. We're doing it in March. Well, you don't have any people. Thus the problem. I looked at the score sheets, which we can get into in another time or slightly.
There wasn't more than he didn't have more than like 3 people in, I think, hardly any divisions.
No, everything has pretty much one person in it, and which is pathetic.
Yeah.
But listen, you don't have enough people. Even go through a year, get yourself people that you can have a quote national championships or whatever. At least you're competing against somebody. Right now, you've got a handful of pros now who are brand new, conceivably. They could get to the Utopia, which I believe is like their Olympia. Anyway, and compete, and that might be the first time they've ever competed as a pro. I mean, this is not well put together or well thought out.
No, it was no, and you know what? It was. Look, the bottom line is everything this guy has done has been a giant fail from square one. All he had to do, like we talked about, is go off and say, hey, we're doing our own thing. It's going to be a little different. We're going to have a little bit different divisions. We're going to run our shows a little bit different. And it would have been fine. But, the guy's embarrassed himself time and time again. He's had his meltdowns on social media, on Periscope, the lawsuits, the mudslinging. It's like, dude, just stop. And the problem is Lee's ego is so big, and he's such a control freak that it's like he can't see how crappy whatever he wants to call his organization, his sports league, really is. I mean, he's got to sit back. I mean, I take that back. He should know because, Lee's a guy who's posting all over social media all the time. And if you followed his social media page this weekend, it was like crickets. So he knew his show sucked. But, it's like at some point he's got to shut up and just focus on the positive. But I don't think he can do that. He's so mentally unstable that I think he feels like he has to throw stones. And that might sound a little bit hypocritical right now because I feel like I'm tossing a few. But I'm not trying to run my own organization. But all Lee had to do was be quiet from day one. He might have had a handful more of IFBB pros, gotten some more amateurs to say, hey, let's try this out. You can compete in both divisions. Maybe I'll do an NPC show. Maybe I'll do an IFBB or an NSL show. But his rants and his tirades were so volatile that people just don't want to be associated with him. And now he thinks, I'm gonna help you brand yourself. And yeah, he's gonna get people to buy into that garbage, but nobody with a half a brain on their shoulders. And it's gotten to the point, especially after this weekend, where it's gone from like comical to really just kind of sad.
Speaking of which, David, I almost forgot, but how did the Connecticut show go there?
There was all right. Here, let's do a rundown of this just real quick. There wasn't the prize money, and there was only one pro division, so that was gone. He promised 2 stages. There was 1 stage that wasn't there. There was supposed to be a Connecticut show. As far as I know, it didn't happen. That was a lie. There's supposed to be all the prize money. That was a lie. Alex only got $2,000. I hope the prize money didn't come from sponsors, because if the prize money comes from sponsors and you get $80,000 from sponsors and you only turn around and give $2,000 away, the question mark then comes up, where did the rest of the money go? He was supposed to have this big stupid monster truck, custom made and stuff. That, of course, wasn't there. He was going to have celebrities there. This was probably the biggest joke / insult of the entire weekend. Now, I understand the concept of bringing in celebrities for an event. It creates a buzz. It's cool. And depending on what level of the event, I guess you should say, how big it is, dictates what type of celebrities you should bring in. Like we have a local, Summerfest with music or whatever in a small town. You bring in a local radio DJ, maybe somebody who's on the TV. Those are celebrities. Let them do their thing. Lee wanted to have this big national event, so he thought he was going to bring in big celebrities. 2 of the people he brought in were the guys who are on the show Swamp People. Now, if you're not familiar with this, it's in Louisiana.
I've seen it.
And it just it's a reality show about guys who hunt alligators. Now, this is just sad from 2 aspects. One, these guys have absolutely nothing to do with the fitness industry. What I'm assuming is that these guys are somehow tied in with Lee's talent agency that he's paying to be a part of, and he thought he would bring them in. But they have no tie-in to the fitness industry whatsoever, not even like a loose tie-in. I mean, you could take somebody, if you're looking for celebrity, like a Mario Lopez, who's well known for being in shape even, or somebody like that. Not that
or Frank
would ever get somebody like that. Yeah, right. But so he gets these guys, and then the insult to me with celebrity judges is he brings these guys in and says he's going to allow them to judge. And he posted a picture on social media of these guys sitting around a dinner table, and he's going over the judging. It's like, look, is it cool to have some celebrities sitting at a table, maybe judging a posing round or something like that?
Sure.
We talked about that. But if you're going to let somebody who's never judged a show, who doesn't know what they're looking at, whatever, you're going to sit down at a meeting with them and tell them how to judge a show and then put them out. It was literally pathetic that they brought those 2 guys in and called it. And then they brought some cowboy in. I don't know who it was, but it was just sad. I mean, like I said, the whole thing was just sad. I mean, it was everything.
Well, listen, the President's Council on whatever, you never saw anything. The expo wasn't an expo. You never saw anything.
I had a friend of mine sent me pictures of the expo. It was a pretty big expo. He only had a handful of booths, and it was as dead as dead could be. So here's another problem for him. Any vendor who spent money at that expo is never going to come back to another one of his expos. Well, unless he gave them those. If Lee was smart, if he did charge for those expo spots, he would turn around and say to those businesses, hey guys, things didn't turn out how we wanted it to. We understand that you paid us this money to have your expo. We know you probably didn't move any product. We want you as return customers in the future. Here's your money back. The next event we have, we're going to give you a free booth. Lee, if you're watching this, which I know you come back and watch these, that's what you need to be doing right now, Lee. I know I'm not the businessman you are, but I'm dieting, so I'm a little crabby, so I'm going to give you a free lesson, Lee. Everybody who paid for a booth at your show this last weekend, if you did charge them, excuse my language, and they need to have a refund. And then from a business move, what you're going to want to do is the next time you have a show, offer them another free booth. Maybe offer them 5 free booths. Something as a good show of good faith that you're an upstanding businessman, which God knows you haven't done that yet. I don't know. Like I said, I know I'm right.
Here's the bottom line, bro. Like the words of our good friend Billy Preston: "Nothing from nothing leaves nothing." So anyway, speaking of numbers and all that, because we'll let that one kind of sit where it is. One final note there: that's in his backyard. That's the best they're gonna do.
Yeah.
The Florida show, which is coming up, which used to have kind of Aaron Stern's name on it, has disappeared. Now it's just a different name, and she didn't show up, so I don't even know if she's even involved anymore. But who cares?
He'll put her posters on stuff until she either sues him to take them off, or until the day before, or whatever.
Well, I want to take just a few minutes as we segue into our next part here. Believe it or not, there's still a lot of chatter about the scoring at the Arnold. Now, the posing round and all that, you've seen all the back and forth on the forums and all that. And here's the thing now. I actually wrote an article about this, which will be coming out in the pages of MD in a month or so, whenever that gets printed and put out there. But I want to give everybody a little bit of a preview about it and kind of explain what Steve Weinberger meant when he explained the scoring process. Now, the argument is, well, wait a minute. People are saying that Kai didn't actually win it with the posing round. He actually won it with his physique. How can that be? If you take the posing round out, Cedric wins. Now, here's the thing. You can't just eliminate a round. This is like saying, well, if my team, if you take out the third quarter, my team would have won. It's like, well, wait a minute. You can't just eliminate a quarter and have the same result. Let me explain how that works exactly, okay? Round one comes, Cedric's up 6 points to 9. Obviously, bodybuilding, everybody knows, is reverse. Lower score is winning. So he's up 3 points. The next round comes up, round two. This is important because people keep messing this up.
Night show. Round two, night show.
Posing round is round two.
Posing round is round two.
Round one, mandatories and comparisons. Round two, posing round. Kai wins 5-10. Now that means it was a clean slate. It was unanimous that Kai won the posing round. Kai not only makes up the deficit, but he's up by 2 points at this point. Okay? So he makes up the 3. He goes ahead. He's now in the lead by 2 points. Now we get to the third round. The third round is the confirmation round. This is the most important round because it's the last round of the show. Cedric ends up losing this by 1 point. Okay? Now, this isn't actually too important, actually, in the aspect because Kai was already ahead by 3 points. All right? So Cedric loses this now. So ultimately, he loses the show by 3 points, and Kai is awarded the victory. Now, common knowledge says, well, yeah, but if you take out the posing round, Cedric wins 14-16, But you can't just eliminate a round. 2, the reason why we keep saying that Kai won based on his physique and not the posing round is this. Ultimately, the confirmation round is the last round. If the posing round doesn't exist, let's just say it's normal, all right? This whole Arnold thing doesn't take place. We're right back to the way we used to do things. Would it be this? Can you just eliminate that and have those scores out there, that would dictate that? No, you can't, because the physique round, obviously the confirmation round, would have been scored differently. All right? The points would have been different. It's not, you just can't take a round out and then add up the scores and say, well, this is what you get. Because what you would have got is, now I'll go the other way. If Cedric comes back looking the same and Kai comes back looking the same at the finals, same as prejudging, let's just duplicate the score from prejudging. All right? Cedric would have had a total round of 6, 10, and 6, total of 22 points. Kai would have had 9, 5, and 9. So I'm assuming that Cedric would have won 6 points to 9 again at night, just like he did in the prejudging. Guess what you get? You get Cedric with 22 points, and you get Kai with 23 points. All right? Cedric would have won if his physique was the same as the prejudging. All right? So we eliminated the posing round with a different methodology. Cedric wins. But as you and I both know, Cedric did not win the night. He did not look better than Kai. Kai came back notably better.
Looked way better at night.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So if you actually look, this is what Steve Weinberger is trying to explain by saying, no, even without the posing round, Kai would have won the show. All right? So to all those mathematicians out there trying to figure this out, that's the breakdown. Now, this is in my article. You can actually see the breakdown point-wise, and we can go online and dispute it all day long. Bottom line, David, is this. The guy with the best physique should win the physique show.
Absolutely. I'll stand firm on my I'll stand firm on my ground that that the posing should be something separate, and it shouldn't be calculated into who's winning what. But those are decisions that are made much above my head and my pay grade, so we go along with it and we share our opinions and have discussions like this. But it's good to see, in my opinion, that the person who won based on their physique won regardless. I would have personally been a little upset had I looked at the scorecards and somebody won, the prejudging and the confirmation round, lost based on the posing routine.
Well, and that kind of comes into play because the fact that the posing round is in the middle does make a difference. It's not the last thing. Now, if that was reversed and the posing round was the last scoring, then you actually could say, well, no, Kai won it with the posing round. But because it's in the middle, you can't just simply eliminate it. Pretend it never took place, and then add the other points together. No more than we could do in football and baseball. We can't eliminate the fourth inning where the team went up, and scored 7 runs and say, well, if that didn't happen, they would have lost. Well, no shit, they would have lost, obviously, but it doesn't work like that. We can't just pretend it didn't exist. And, and the posing round, which me and Peter love to debate about, isn't really a posing round. It's a physique/posing round. So you can come back and look like the guy who won the heavyweights there in the NSL and have the greatest posing routine that you've ever seen. Your physique still isn't going to bring you up. Your physique is still subpar. Yeah,
no, it was, like I said, I thought it was a good decision seeing Kai walk away with the win. I don't think anybody. I think the guy who's got the best body should be able to go out there and have the crappiest posing routine, and the audience should be able to say, well, that sucked as a posing routine. And the guy who's got a lousier physique shouldn't be able to go out there and light it up and win a bodybuilding show. To me, that's not what bodybuilding is about. It's the work that you put in the gym, the diet, obviously practicing your mandatory poses so you know how to present your physique. But as far as no, and I hope you never see a show where the posing round, in my personal opinion, I hope I never see a show where the posing round determines the winner. Well, unless you had 2 people tied. In that case, then sure. If that and you have an odd number of judges, so I don't even know.
To me, it's a great point. That should only be used as a tiebreaker to me, because you're right. You can't score it. We still don't know how it's being scored. You still can't really differentiate between the two. There's too many variables. Judging physiques is a tough enough endeavor with subjectivity in people's opinions and their personal likes and dislikes. Now you're going to put posing on top of it. Listen, let's get through this experiment. To me, at the end of the day, listen, let this thing settle off into the sunset. You want better posing routines? I'm going to stick with what I said 4, 5, 6 years ago, whatever it's been. Get out money prizes for posing routines.
Absolutely.
Best classical routine, best entertaining routine. Now, listen, now we get both. I can have Kai doing flips and standing on his head, and I can have a beautiful performed posing routine by Hidatari Yamagishi or Cedric if he speeds it up a notch. Or any of the classical type guys. Give a little bit of both. But you want to make pros put on better routines? Give them money. They're pros. Absolutely.
So that's that. Bob, I gotta bounce, man. I gotta get to the airport.
Yes, sir.
That tight. It's that tight. So.
Well, listen, my friend. Have fun. Travel safe. Say hello to Tony Doherty and the crew for me out there. And we'll be watching over here on this side. So hopefully we'll get your up-to-date reports. I assume you'll be reporting all weekend long for all the fans of NMD.
Just remember, guys, Australia is 15 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time, 16 Central. If you're on the West Coast, Australia is going to be 18 hours ahead. So the play-by-plays, the pictures and everything, the times they're coming in are going to be a little bit weird, but we're going to be doing everything live from Australia, so just keep that in mind.
So it's actually the next day there, so they can give us the prejudging report right now
then. It's not quite how it... Oh. It's not really... It's going on at the same time and a different time zone. It's not really happening in the future.
See, now Tony Doherty was fooling me then because he told me he was calling from the future the other day. But all right, well, listen, buddy, we'll let you get out of here. Safe travels, my friend, and that's going to do it for this edition of The Last Rep for David Baye on his way to Australia and Bob Chick here in Atlanta. We'll see you later, everybody.